it's exciting times around the buzz in college football. The time is here. The time is now to see what you've done in regards to recruiting and preparation for the season, and no better time than to start it off in Kansas versus the Jayhawks. New and improved Jayhawks, I must say. For our team specifically, I want to start off by congratulating our team captains. It's voted on by their peers. It's a huge deal. We talk about it in the beginning of camp that this is not something to be taken lightly, and it is certainly something that's truly earned, not just handed out as a, as a celebrity status on the team. So those guys have earned it. Our team captains are Darian Smith and P.J. Hall for the defense, Raylan Sharp, Jacardier Wright for the offense, and Grant Burkett is our special teams captain. Those guys have done a tremendous job on and off the field, cultivating our culture and just doing the things that you need them to do as captains to be successful.
Questions? Who's your starting quarterback?
They're both. I should have noted. I know Wyatt's going to ask who's starting quarterback. No, it's fair. They're both going to play. We have significant packages for both players. Both are going to be ready to go, and I think they've both earned that right. I think throughout camp, sometimes a guy will take a true step ahead and separate themselves, and sometimes you think that there's a flavor of the week that both can help you win. I think that's where we're at right now. And then obviously as the game progresses, depending on if one guy takes the show and runs with it, we'll stick with him. And if not, you could be ready for a quick change. It just depends on what we have to do to be successful in the ball game.
So when you run out there for the first snap, whose hands are going to be under the center?
Well, you could have one under center and then one in the slot. It just we could go two quarterback formation sets, kind of like the Jayhawks are doing from time to time. They've got two great quarterbacks as well. So that'll be an interesting thing to see as we break the huddle. Do we have Jordan in? Do we have Jacob in? Are they both in the huddle? So it'll be an exciting time to see, and then let them cut it loose. Let them go earn the right.
So that's something where they're still competing a little bit for that starting job. And do you want one at some point here soon, next couple of weeks?
I think that would be good if one of them truly takes a step up and earns the job on game day. But again, I think there's significant. I think there's things that you can do that significantly help you in schematics that both guys do differently. And you've seen both guys. I know you were at the scrimmage that you saw. Jacob, more of a pocket passer, can control the D&D, do things situationally where, the other guy is better at running with the football and can do some things being elusive with the blitz.
Where do you realize in that competition it's like, let's just go with two quarterbacks?
Yeah, it honestly doesn't bother me a bit. I think, again, it gives us an advantage in regards to game planning. People have to plan for a variety of different things in regards to quarterback run, in regards to drop back passing. You get different play action looks from each guy that gives you a unique ruffle to make sure they have to prepare for it all.
You've talked about a commitment to the run this season. Obviously, that will help both of your quarterbacks. Jacardier, the number one running back, and how many guys might we see behind him?
Yeah, I love the running back room. I've talked about that for a long time, and Jacardier has done a tremendous job through camp. Again, he's a big, strong presence with great vision that does a good job running the football, and he's carried the load around here. You're also going to see young man Jaden Becks. We call him Jab. He's a really good runner. Again, he's a track guy from Texas that does a nice job. Connor Lair has had a tremendous camp. The nice thing about Connor is his utility in regards to being able to catch the football out of the backfield, being able to put himself in the position of what we call the F, kind of a moving tight end if we needed to get bigger. And he has certainly created a role there. And then Selden Manning, if we can keep him healthy, keep him doing a good job, he'll be in the mix as well.
Coach, what has felt different for you this preseason compared to the past when you've been an assistant?
Well, obviously, getting to talk to you fine fellows is a nice change. You guys are good people. You treat us with respect. No, but in all seriousness, I really like where we're at in regards to our attitude and approach to each day. The players, and again, the captains are standing right back there. They've truly bought into a player-led football team, player-led leadership, and that makes my job a lot easier. Some teams you have to come out and force their will to practice hard and force them to run around and have energy and passion in what they're doing each day. But they've controlled it themselves, and they understand what's on the line and what we need to try to go do this fall, and it's time.
You seem like such a personable guy, but how much have you embraced those responsibilities that go with just coaching football?
Yeah. what you see is a little bit different than sometimes what those guys see in regards to my coaching mannerisms. I'm an in-your-face, pretty direct person. I feel like you can have both, and I feel like that helps your program. But I think those guys back there, when they get up and talk, especially PJ, he's standing back there. He was in my position group the last 3 years. There's a little bit, it turns on once you step in between the white lines. And I think it's been great because, again, I enjoy talking to you guys, but my main priority here is to get the team ready to win football games. And however my attitude has to change to do that, we've done that.
You'll find out more on Friday night, but how far do you think your offensive line has come? It's obviously been a big point of, I don't know if you want to say remaking, but retooling your offensive line. How much further along do you guess they are than at the end of last year?
I think we've made significant strides there. I think they're coming together as a group because last time we talked, it was about finding the right package of men to start on the offensive line. I still think it'll be by committee in some capacity, but the last 2 weeks we've really dialed in on situational football and really what the call sheet will look like versus Kansas and then moving forward. And I think you'll get significantly more push off the ball. We'll be a little bit more dynamic in regards to the drop back passing game and ability to do some things that help our quarterback be successful. Because again, neither of those guys have started a football game in a long time. Okay, so you're going to have a guy back there that we have to find a rhythm for, and I think will be a testament to our football team is can we run the ball to win? Can we move the offensive line of scrimmage, and then on defense, can we hold the line and eliminate explosives? To me, that's the ball game, explosive plays.
Do you have any idea what to expect out of Kansas?
A ton of huge plays. They're a really, really talented football team. I think that their quarterback he's up for Player of the Year and all the ballots, which he should be. When you watch his game, he's got some things that you don't see very often. He can run with the football. He's got great vision down the field. He really does a nice job progressing because I'm sure people have been saying, he uses his feet to get out of issues. He can make progression reads. That's the thing I like about him. Jalen sits there and he'll go from 1, 2, 3, and he's not just a runner. He's got a big, strong arm. I like his attitude. I think he plays football the right way. He's got a chip on his shoulder. And, if a defensive guy doesn't come correctly, he lets you know. There's nothing wrong with that.
And all that said, you're preparing for two quarterbacks to see action.
Absolutely. I think, again, when you face a team like this, when you've got the backup that does such a nice job, Jason Bean, you see him move on film, and he's just like another athlete on the field. Why would you not utilize him and, again, put him in the slot, do variable motions with him, do different things to where you create, just like we talked about earlier with our two quarterbacks, you're creating more for the defense to prepare for. And, again, Lance and those guys do such a good job at Kansas. They'll have a great plan.
Coach, last time we saw you guys play a top 10 Power 5 opponents, Razorbacks, you had them on the ropes in the fourth quarter on upset alert. How much of last year's guys talking about getting back in that position against a Power 5 opponent and this time finishing it off?
Yeah, there's a lot of them. And the whole offseason we've talked about finishing games. And, just one of our last camp practices, we had a fourth quarter run drill where it was about being able to be mentally and physically tough enough in the fourth quarter to go finish those games off. We took Arkansas to the ropes, but the nice thing about football is, as you guys know, what have you done for me lately? We have to show them what this football team is and how good we can be. And the nice thing about our roster is you look up and down the roster, you've got transfers and junior college guys and different guys in different roles that they've been to the big show. We're not going to walk out there timid looking at the lights like, oh, goodness, this is a big, bad stadium. We've all been there, done that. It's just football at the end of the day.
Well, for you and game day management, just learning when to take timeouts. Do you practice by playing Madden or something? How do you figure that out? Do you have a challenge flag? Are you keeping that in a sock?
Yeah, I'm waiting on my kids to get old enough to want the PS5, and that way I can get maybe back into Madden and some gaming stuff because it seems pretty cool. Don't play that now, but what we have done is we've done some situation things in practice to where we've put the headsets on and gotten on the sidelines and been able to go through some of those situations. And try to make sure we manage our timeouts correctly, understand the new clock management rules. I'm sure you guys have seen, the clock doesn't stop except under 2 minutes now, which is, for pace of play, I get it. Fans want fast games, and that's, I'm great with that. But it is certainly a different perspective, because there will not be times where I go and do every single correction with the defense. My eyes will be on the field the whole time, and we'll be talking offense, defense, special teams. And I'm excited for the challenge because, great head coaches are great game managers. So that opportunity will be a lot of fun.
Coach, are you going to take a moment at the beginning just to take a deep breath and say, this is my first game as head coach on Thursday?
Absolutely. I actually do that before every game because, as you see in life and through COVID and every single thing else that people are dealing with nowadays, time is promised to no one. I feel like every single day is a gift, and you have to take a second to enjoy it because, those players back there, our staff, spend a lot of time away from the people they care about. You spend a lot of time at work, and you have to continue to be able to find your joy. And I know the good Lord's put us in a position to have some fun with this career and make a difference, and that's what we're going to try to do.
How have you seen the receivers emerge? I know just some late changes there a little bit. I know you're confident in those guys, but how have you seen them step up when a few of them are moving up the depth chart? Yeah,
it's definitely been fun to see. And they're an explosive group. Raylan Sharp is going to get up here and talk in just a little bit. He creates mixed match issues all over the field, and we have to do a good job of getting those advantage plays. Where do we put him to create an advantage against their defenses? Larry Wright's done a really nice job for us, being able to bounce in and out of inside-outside receiver. And then, Devontae Key is a younger guy that's grown in this system and really knows the package now that can stretch the field. He's gotten more comfortable in his role. I'm excited about the full group. I can't say enough about them because, they're a resilient crew. Like you said, there were some late departures, and that's going to happen nowadays in college football. That's what we've created, so that's what we have to live with, and they've done a really nice job with it.
Defensive line, just we saw really young guys on that second unit when we were able to get out there about a week and a half ago. Just how are you feeling about defensive line depth and some of those younger names we've seen in there, the local guys? Yeah, that's been a really big part of camp for us, is building depth in that defensive front, because we talk about, and he mentioned last year, Anthony Payne, losing him in the inside was a huge blow. And a lot of people look at the other significant things that happened, but that was a significant blow. And you got Sterling Smithson, who's a Kansas native. He's done a great job in there playing nose and 3-tech. Young Tim Brantley from Texas is a huge man who's done a nice job. Got really light on his feet, good movement. Armand Wallace is gonna take a bunch of the load in there and do a nice job. And then you love our edges. You love Jalen Williams. You love Darren Smith, Devin Gorey on the edge. And then, like you said, your young guys, Caden Weist, Andrew Link. Some of those guys will be fits here and there. But for those guys, really, it's about finding what they can do immediately to help the football team. You don't want to overload a young guy that's super athletic and have him be paralysis by analysis, for lack of a better term. And we got to do a good job of that schematically. Secondary depth, there were a lot of changes. Seemed like you had the safeties locked down. Cornerbacks, a whole bunch of names in there, guys with experience. Just how do you settle on that? And who have you settled on? Just kind of be out there. Yeah, the first group, Kalino Levine he's done a really nice job in camp. He's smooth. His movement reminds you of Brad's, and his playmaking ability in regards to how he can fit the run as well as cover guys down the field. And then the other side will be with Jamal McMurrin, Floyd Williams, so a few other guys doing that. And then you have to really visualize what are you doing with your package, what are you seeing that week, depending on, I like to get as many DBs on the field as possible. So if we can get a few of those and some cover packages on third down, we're going to try to get creative and do that as well to match athlete with athlete. You sound really young. Just the guys that are going to be playing, they're going to be stepping on a kind of a bigger stage where people are actually excited about Kansas football for once. How do you think those guys are going to handle that? And what do you expect from just having a younger group that's going to have to get better throughout the year too? Yeah, we are an extremely young football team with not a ton of guys that have been there and done it on a consistent basis. But I think, like the gentleman alluded to earlier, before the game, everybody just has to take a deep breath and get back to what got you here. How did I get to this point? I have earned the right to be on this big stage. I have
done everything it took. I worked as hard as I possibly could to get the most out of my talent, and then just go let it hang. And we try to press them a lot in fall camp in regards to putting them in disadvantaged situations because, again, you guys were out there for the scrimmage. Sometimes the defense will go 3rd and out, and we'll go again. We're going to stay in there for a few 3 and outs and just truly press them to see who can understand that on Friday night there's going to be some serious stress and some serious pressure. But it's not the absence of that. You got to be able to function through it. And I think we've done a good job building those situations. And, everyone's going to have a wow moment at some point. It's just, can we rally fast enough and recover from it?
Coach, you mentioned Caden Weiss and Andrew Link, a couple of local kids, freshmen. For anyone who's from here, high school football fans, what are some of the local kids looking like to you, and would we expect to see them have a big impact on this game?
Yeah, I think a lot of the guys we've briefly discussed earlier will see some time again in the running back room. Connor Lair has done a nice job from West Plains. Love his attitude, love how he comes to work every day. Caden Weiss, he has a wrist injury. All right, so he won't actually be traveling this week. He's got a non-contact wrist injury that will put him out. Andrew Link is going to go and should see a few series here and there possibly, depending on how the game goes. But again, you don't want to overwhelm young, really talented guys until you know for a fact that they're ready to do what it takes to be on that big stage.
Are you one that's going to have trouble sleeping the night before the game, or is that quarterback going to keep you up from Kansas? Just how's that work for you?
Yeah, White. I got 4 kids under 5. I don't see a bunch of sleep anyway, so I don't think the football season will change that very much. But this is why you get into the profession, to go to a rising star organization like Kansas that has totally been reborn and see what your guys are made of. Because you always talk about wanting to compete against the best, wanting to recruit against the best. And I think they just said they have a $300 million facilities and stuff going in. Good. When the ball is snapped, football is football. And I can promise you that none of those guys back there, nobody else wearing a Bears football helmet is just going to limp into the game expecting not to perform at their best.